90% of all millionaires make it in real estate. Like, this is such an overused statistic. Like, where does it come from? Is it actually true? But more importantly, if it is, what are the reasons what makes it true? And today, I'm gonna be covering 5 reasons why millionaires make it in real estate, period.
One shot, now the future is yours. Go!
You've heard of Andrew Carnegie, right? Like, this is the dude in the late 19th century that basically ran steel through all of America. Oh, this is one of the robber barons. What does he have to do with real estate if he's known for steel? Well, check it out. He claims that 90% of all millionaires became so through owning real estate. More money has been made in real estate than in all industrial investments combined. He goes on to say that wise is the young man or wage earner of today that invests his money in real estate. Here's the crazy part. It was true then and it's just as true today. Thomas Stanley, who authored the book, The Millionaire Next Door, goes on to confirm how millionaires are made in the game of real estate today. Bottom line, there's no secret that wealth is absolutely made in the game of real estate. And it's bizarre to me that there's so many people that don't actually get real estate. They don't look at it. They're so caught up in, like, I don't know, just 401ks and IRAs and pay off my house. And I'm like, are you listening to the words coming out of my mouth? You don't make your money that way, you make it this way. Needless to say, there are 5 different reasons what makes this stat so true, and we're gonna go through all of them right now, starting with number 1, appreciation. You understand that the almighty dollar is weakened every year by inflation. Like, normally over the last 100 years, every year it becomes 3.1% less valuable. That means that if I have a $100 bill, that next year it will only have $97 of buying power. Or I put my money in a 401k, and over the last 20 years, they are averaging 4.2%, whereas in the last several years, inflation has been at 4.1%. So it basically has washed itself out, and it's like, that's weird. My investments actually aren't making me any money. But real estate is altogether a different beast. But a home is a different beast altogether. Over the last 65 years, we've tracked that nationwide average home goes up 4.65% every year. And you're like, well, Kris, but you're not knocking on a home's 4.65%. That's because people don't buy homes cash. When they buy a home, they use leverage, which basically means they're putting up a small amount of money. The bank is putting up the rest of the money, which means there's a multiplier effect on the appreciation. If it's an investment property and I put 20% down and the bank puts up the other 80% of the money, I'm basically getting a 5-to-1 ratio. Or in other words, that 4.65% becomes 5 times bigger than that. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that's why my real estate is kicking the trash out of my 401k. If you don't believe me, check out the Federal Reserve economic data tracking the last 65 years, showing you what happens to the price of real estate over time. It appreciates like a boss. I'll give you a quick example. Here's my house. I buy it for $200,000 and it's appreciating at 5% a year. Well, what's 5% of its value? $200,000? It's $10,000. Literally, just by owning this house, it increases $10,000 every single year. And then that's gonna compound. Even without the compounding effect, after 5 years, that's like 10 grand, 10 grand, 10 grand, 10 grand. That's like, here you go. That's $50,000 just for holding on to the asset. Like, I didn't have to improve it. I didn't have to do anything, just holding it. It went up. It's like my very first house. The first house I bought was built in the 40s for like 5 grand. I bought the house for over $100,000. So now all of a sudden it's like, geez, Krohn, you hold this home for 5 years and you make 50 grand. Just imagine if you had 20 homes. 50 grand times 20, that's $1 million. The second reason that people become millionaires in real estate is because of this thing called passive cash flow. And I would also add positive cash flow. It means that when I buy a house, I'm not gonna pay it off. I'm gonna rent it to someone that's gonna pay it off for me. Like, if you get a 30-year mortgage and you rent it out for 30 years, then yeah, from time to time you have to do some rehab and fix up and repairs. But the bottom line is, every time you collect rent and make that mortgage payment, part of that mortgage payment is not just going towards the interest, it's also going towards the principal, which means your renters are paying it off. You've outsourced the paying off of the house to somebody else. Imagine buying 10 homes and having 10 other couples paying them off for you. It's kind of crazy. Then you think about the fact that that money coming in is passive. Like, I don't have to work for it. The house is the one doing the work. And then there's leftover money. Like, my mortgage is $1,500 a month, but I'm collecting $1,800. There's $300 left over. I wonder what I'm supposed to do with that. It's just free money. Well, then we have to weigh in on the tax benefits. Like, you know that when the Constitution was written, it was all about land ownership. It was all about who gets to vote, who doesn't get to vote. And if you owned land, land was everything. Well, the wealthy know this. And what what they do is they take their money, they put it in real estate, and when they do that, they pay less taxes because the government allows me to write off this property over 27 and a half years. So take this home, for example. The government, the IRS, lets me write it off over 27 and a half years. If it's a $300,000 home and I divide that by 27.5, I basically get to write off $11,000 every year. My positive cash flow is not going to be $11,000, so all of that becomes tax-free. And then there's leftover money that goes against my income, and all of a sudden my normal income, I have less taxes on that as well. In fact, if you buy enough real estate, all of that positive cash flow is tax-free, and there's leftover tax write-off to drop your income down, and it's like, whoa, my income is going up with positive cash flow, but my taxable income is going down, and at some point, when you're making less than $30,000 a year on paper because of all the write-offs, you basically don't ever have to pay taxes ever again. And then we have to talk about the leverage. Like, this is kind of cool. We live in a country that if you walk into a bank, they're like, greedy, commission breath. Can I give you money for real estate? Like, they love lending on real estate because they've done all their actuaries. They've looked at the numbers and they know that if you buy a home and live in it, they know you're not going to go foreclose very easy. Like, it's like a very tiny percentage. So they're very comfortable saying, oh, we don't even have to charge you a high interest rate. We'll give you a competitive interest rate and we'll come up with 80% of the money, or if you're going to live in it, we'll come up with 97% of the money, or even maybe in some situations, 100% of the money, because they know that the default rate is so low. Now, the reason why that's cool is because if I have 50 grand, I can only buy $50,000 worth of stuff. I can only buy $50,000 worth of a car or $50,000 worth of stocks. But in real estate, because of the bank's 5-to-1 leverage, if I put up 50 grand, they'll lend me $200,000. And now I have $250,000 for an investment property I'm not even going to live in. And I didn't even come up with the money. I borrowed it from my last house that I'm living in, or I borrowed it from my 401k or my IRA. And I'm like, shoot, this is brilliant. The bank is taking on a majority of the risk, which means I can spread my money further and I can have these assets appreciating faster. The fifth, last, and maybe most important reason that you become wealthy through the game of real estate is because you've noticed that if you have money in the stock market, you can't control when it goes up and down, right? But if you put your money in real estate, you can't control that market either, but it actually is far more predictable. Like, for example, all of my homes that I buy are under the median, which means my average purchase price is between $200,000 and $300,000. But if someone buys like $1 million home and the market corrects every 10 years, then that house might go from $1 million to like $800,000 or $700,000, but all the homes bought below the median, they hardly budge at all. I'm just gonna rent them out during that period of time. So it's like, whoa, I've got a strategy that actually works through the market really well. If the market is up, I can sell it, make a grundle of money. Or if the market is down, I can just hold it and rent it out and make a grundle of money. In either way, I'm protected and I'm safe. You might be thinking, man, this is crazy. So real estate is really where it's at, but I don't really want to go it alone. I'd like to have a mentor. I'd love to have a partner. I'd love to have someone help me. Well, I've got news for you. I can mentor you. I can actually be your partner that does it all for you, or I can help you do it entirely on your own. Like, whatever suits you is what I want to help you with. The question is, do you know all the steps and do you know your possibilities? I'm proposing today to give you a free gift, and it's called a free game plan. And it's where you click the link below, you fill out the information, and basically have a member of my team connect with you and say, all right, I've been trained by Kris Krohn every single week what he would do if he were in your shoes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to step in your shoes and I'm just going to share with you, hey, if I were you, here are all the different options that I see for becoming a multimillionaire as quickly as possible. And if you'd like that free gift, where honestly, no strings attached, like it's an opportunity for you to get my perspective, click the link below, fill out the information, let me be in touch with you. Let me give you a multi-million-dollar free game plan from a multimillionaire and show you financially how to level up your game and crush it. But Kris, I've been trying to get my house paid off. Like, it sounds like you're talking about like owning 2 homes or 3 homes or 4 homes. Should I pay off my house and then later buy more real estate? And I'm going to tell you right now, there are 3 reasons why I would not pay off your house. If you've heard someone out there whose name rhymes with Nave Lamsey, I'm just telling you right now, it is not a good idea to pay off your house. There's something very different that you should do instead. And if you want to know what that is, click right here. Let me show you right now.